Peace and blessings, family. I am Astarius Miraculi, and this is day 38 of 100 days of healing. And today, I want to share some things about the healing of my abandonment wound. Just to give a little recap, going back to my childhood, raised predominantly by my mother, stepfather up until age 11. Mama basically ruled the roost in terms of raising me, and whippings were very treacherous and intense and long, and there was a lot of unkindnesses that came through that. I witnessed a lot of violence, stepfather jumping, on my mother, fights, every weekend, and even when there was a getting together of my father, stepfather, mama, and aunt and uncle, there would be like a fourfold fight. So a lot of witnessing of a lot of violence, a lot of fighting, and so then the experience of abandonment, when my my stepfather and my mother got divorced when I was 11. Mama said, well, that wasn't your real father anyway. So I experienced an abandonment from my stepfather, but then also biological father, who I just found out even was in the picture. And he had made his transition. He had actually died when I was 8, but I never knew him, and he was never a part of my life. But learning that, I did have a biological father that wasn't there, so there was an abandonment from biological father, an abandonment from stepfather, who I knew, or thought I knew as my actual father. And then at age 16 was thrown out of the house, by mama, and so that was abandonment also, which got covered up because I went into my anger and my so-called hatred, of mama, which was really covering up the hurt and the pain of the woundedness, of that abandonment. So I kind of hid that from myself. And then came on my spiritual path at age 22, did a lot of work, grew a lot in self-love, and grew a lot in elevated self-esteem. But I still had this unattended abandonment wound, running in the background. And so even though I'd done all this work and experienced some self-love and some self-esteem, I still had a wound that had not been attended to. And through my therapy and my deep dive into the core of my being, I've been able to really access this wound and do some significant healing, on it. One thing that has really helped the healing is coming to that place of forgiving my parents, forgiving my mama, forgiving my stepfather, forgiving my biological father, and recognizing that even though there were some dark, shadowy things that came from them to me, that's not who they really were or who they really are. And being able to see that has helped me a lot in bringing about this healing of the wound, and coming to that place of forgiving. In forgiving, I've been able to elevate my trust, that I can trust in a higher something. And even that greater something that I feel exists in my parents and existed within them, even though they may not have always exemplified the highest in their dealings with me, there was a higher something that was there. And just elevating the trust to know that something bigger than the treachery, something bigger than the abuse and the pain was there, that then by osmosis I can be blessed, by feeling that higher resonance that was there, even though I didn't always experience it coming directly from them. And so the elevation of trust, trust in my capacity to offer nurturing onto myself, to be a parent to my inner child. And also making that connection to the desperation of not wanting to be abandoned. And so in my obsessive hugging of women and hugging too tight and hugging too long, and realizing that underneath that was this cry of, please don't abandon me. I didn't understand that at the surface level, but looking back now and through my therapy and diving deep within my being, I can see that. And so another part of the healing is realizing that I can parent my inner child, and that I don't need to allow this wounded part to try to take, some nurturing that it feels it desperately needs and didn't get, from mama, didn't get from stepfather and biological father. So I feel a lot of celebration within my soul, a lot of clearing, within my soul. And just the capacity to interact now, with women in such a way that I don't desperately need to get this something to fill in the blank for what I didn't get, from mama, from daddy, and from my growing up. I also feel this blessing coming from my ancestors, because they are those that have gone before me, who have been victorious over this very same situation. And so I've opened my soul to receive that transmission of blessing and healing that comes from my ancestors, that comes from the ascended masters and angels, and comes from the Most High. And so I celebrate this victory, and I'll continue to grow, in this. If there's more layers to heal, with regards to that wound, I know that they will be healed. Meanwhile, I feel this wonderful up-leveling of my being, this clarity and clearing, within my being. And I am so grateful, and just offer all of my love and all of my support, and anything that has uplifted and multiplied me, I offer as a counterpart to every other being. Infinite love and light.